Colin Overall is in his 40s. He's a design engineer who's worked for a major electronics company for over 20 years. In October 1986, he bought himself a new Escort 1.6 GL estate.
And I found that the important thing about estate cars is the flexibility it gives you. You have the benefit of a saloon car, but also you have the flexibility of the high load space at the back of the car. I mean, for instance, I go to work in the car sometimes, but if my wife wants to use it, we can put my bike in the back. I also mow my mother-in-law's grass from time to time, and we put the mower in the back, and that sort of thing. So I think, having had an estate car, it's very difficult to visualise life without one just at the moment. We started with estate cars when we had our first child. You know, it's moving the carry cot in and out the back of a single, two-door car is bad for your back, and you soon learn that. So perhaps when you come to the next car, your mind opens up to the estate car. Also, perhaps you're a do-it-yourself guy, and you're putting wood and that sort of thing in the back. So these things come together. Once you've had one, as I said before, once you've had one, you really don't want to give it up. Again, I think perhaps one of the reasons we bought another Ford was that having had one for 13 years, I think you become rather tight. And you like the availability of the spares. You can go to the local dealer, or you can go to a local shop and buy spare parts. Things like oil filters are cheap. And over the 13 years, that's been quite an economical car to run, and my daughter's using it now a lot of the time. And I've maintained it most of the time myself. Easy to maintain, cheap to maintain. The motor manufacturers have realised that a lot of people with families and perhaps dogs and things like that, they need load space, they need carrying space, but clearly cost of motoring is high. You can't have a car for every purpose, and therefore it's a combination car. You want the comfort, you want the performance, you want the economy, but when you need it, you want that extra load carrying space, particularly the height.
Paul Osborne is married to Sue, and they have twins, Charlotte and Lauren, just 7 months old. Paul's a sales manager with a computer company. 4 months ago, he chose a Sierra Gear estate.
Basically because we needed the room that's in the rear to put the equipment which we carry when we go away for a weekend and take the children with us. All of the items that we have to take care of these too. Pushchairs, cots, nappies, everything, mattresses, and our clothes. And it takes care of everything, really, in the back of the car, the rear of the car. And it's easy to get out, it's easy to load.
The girls sit in the back in their seats, and we just put pillows and things, wherever we can find a space. We decided, while I was still carrying, that we would have to get an estate, didn't we? Also, from a safety point, you had that much more safety around you, shall we say, because of the construction. This is a family car. It's much more solid. I feel much safer. I feel happier driving in a Sierra with these two. I don't, if an accident did happen, I don't feel it would just buckle up and inside. So that puts my mind at rest, and that's another reason that we wanted an estate car.
Ronald Collis is retired. He was a craftsman French polisher. Now he augments his pension with a part-time job as a boat warden on a marina on the Thames. About a year ago, he treated himself to an Escort 1.6 diesel estate.
One of the main things I really bought it for my mowing, because I do a lot of mowing around here, and to get my Mountfield mower in there, I couldn't get it in a Fiesta, which I used to have. So from then, I thought to myself, well, then I'll take a few of the old people about down here shopping, who haven't got cars. 2 or 3 women a week, and then on top of that you get the odd run of taking, bits of furniture about for them and that sort of thing, Well, as a matter of fact, one of the old couple wanted a bed moved, and from Henley down to here, and I actually got it in the car with a 1/2 inch to spare. You'd never believe it. An actual, full-size bed. I couldn't believe it. That's one thing it come in handy for. I mean, instead of her hiring a van, which cost her, I mean, she got it done for nothing.
Geoffrey Smith, at 60, has recently retired as a chartered engineer and moved to the country. 6 months ago, he chose a Sierra 4x4 estate for his retirement.
In London we had just the one car because one only needs one car in London. Moving to the country I knew we should need a second vehicle, and because we chose East Sussex where the winters can be fairly severe, I wanted a vehicle that could handle difficult road conditions. I also wanted a vehicle with some carrying capacity to haul bales of hay and bags of peat for my garden and that sort of thing. I thought first of all of a Land Rover, but I've only got 2 acres of land. Land Rovers really go with 200 acres rather than 2. And then my son, who's a policeman with the Sussex Force and is working in the traffic department at the moment, they have, among quite a wide range of cars, a Sierra 4x4 saloon. And they're very keen on it. It's a very popular car. Everyone wants to drive it. So he said, "Dad, why don't you forget the Land Rover Suzuki type of thing and go for the Ford Sierra Estate? And by the way," he said, "I'm working in East Grinstead and there's a Ford dealer in East Grinstead and I've seen a 4x4 Estate in his showroom." Well, that was enough to me. For me, I shot up to East Grinstead, and within 10 minutes of sitting in the vehicle, it had sold itself to me. It was a very fortunate piece of timing too, because the very day after I bought it, in January, we had the first snows of the winter. Only a couple of inches, but enough to make the roads a bit treacherous. And so its road holding capability demonstrated itself to me very quickly. 2 days after the first snow of the winter came some more snow, snow piled on snow, this time accompanied by a northeast wind, so we got a lot of drifting in this part of the country. My estate handled it beautifully. Once I'd dug my way through the deepest drifts, I just cruised along while everyone else was stranded.
The GL spec is very, very similar to the hatchback spec. So you're getting the best of both worlds, basically. It's quiet. At 70, it's in 5th gear, it's fairly quiet. You don't get much wind noise. The seats are fairly comfortable. It's got quite a good range of seat movement. I have it right the way back, and other members of the family want it forward, so it's got quite a good range of seat movement.
I got a cassette in it and wireless, which I use quite a lot when I'm on my own, you know, or taking to old dear. But when the wife's with me, she won't allow me to have it in the car. There's no way. She don't like music in the car. But as far as the seats and that, they're very comfortable. Very comfortable, I think so, anyhow.
It's comfortable to drive on long journeys. I also use it for work, so it's important if I'm driving somewhere, I want to be comfortable. I have to cover quite long distances. I can also put computer equipment in the back. I like the look of it, the smooth lines, and it's practical.
In the back, it's particularly comfortable travelling on long journeys with the babies in their seats, one either side of me. And having the electric windows, the controls on the console is quite handy. You don't have to stretch over all the time. And the seats are very, very comfortable in the front as well as the back.
It has the feel of a car designed to be an estate car. It's an extremely comfortable car to drive, and of course it's very spacious. As well as the considerable volumetric carrying capacity with the back seats folded down, I don't know what the capacity is, but it's big enough for anything, as many bags of peat as I've ever wanted to carry. You've of course got the integral roof rack, and that's got I think it's a 75 kilo maximum load. So really, when you've got everything full, you've got the back full and the roof loaded, you really have got an enormous, I mean, for example, we had a housewarming party here recently, and we had quite a lot of people. We borrowed lots of garden chairs. I finished up with 20 garden chairs, crates of cutlery and crockery on the top, and I was sailing along as if I was going to the village fete in my comparatively small, as you would judge it, looking at some vehicles you see on the road, Sierra 4x4 Estate.
You get reasonable performance. I had a 1.3 Escort Estate before. I think it's equally as economical as that car. It's done about 7,000 now, so it's now more or less well running, I suppose. So I've started taking checks on the mileage, and it's about 30 odd miles to the gallon. I mean, I think if you look at the insurance, if you look at the miles per gallon, if you look at the spares, if you look at the if you couple everything together, which I think is the way you have to do motoring these days, then the package is pretty cheap motoring, I think.
I feel it's a very sporty sort of car. Certainly when you're sitting in the driving seat, you don't feel as if you're driving a van. It handles like a saloon.
And this one, it's a pleasure to drive. Once you get on a motorway, I mean, you don't know it's a diesel. It just purrs along. In fact, sometimes, you know, I'm up to 90 mile an hour and the wife's saying, "Oi, watch your speed." I mean, the consumption is so low. I mean, when I used to have a petrol car, it used to cost me £6 a week just running around here for petrol. Now I put £5 a fortnight in this, just running around, you know, the village and that, or into Henley or into May. And then if I go on a run, I find that it does at least 70 miles to the gallon, as long as I keep to a speed of about 60. So I'm not allowed to go over 60, but it does. I say it will do 90 without any worry at all.
I find the performance very impressive. I haven't tested petrol consumption against the quoted figures yet, but I have the feeling that those quoted figures are accurate. I don't find myself filling up very often, I must say. I like it because it can cope with the slow, crawly journeys around the East Sussex lanes, as well as it can cope with cruising at 70 miles an hour plus on the motorway. It's a very lively car. When you need the acceleration, it's there. It's a 2.8 litre engine with a very quick response, and I'm very happy with it.
B&S Spares supply motor accessories and parts to trade and retail customers, using 20 Fiesta vans to link their 27 branches across Wales. David Davis is their general manager.
Out of everything that was available to us, we found after careful negotiations that Ford offers the best deal that was available. Fiesta vans proved to be ideal for the delivery service that we require to make to our customers. Nippy, very reliable. It's important that the vans stay on the road and that they do not let us down. Ford have also worked out a good plan for servicing for us, where they will do our service on a Sunday. We need our vans 6 days a week. This idea is ideal for us, where we can not have to let people down, which is the name of the game. Our vans are used to deliver urgent spares and accessories to our trade customers. Now, some of our trade customers are up hills, up mountains, down dikes, up valleys, etc. They need to be versatile to be able to get to these places, off the road places, etc. For our type of business, they're exactly what we need. From the outside, it looks a small van, but there's plenty of room in it. We get full exhaust systems in one of these Fiesta vans. I mean, you can imagine some of these exhaust systems, the length of them. No problem getting exhaust systems in, for example. Plenty of room, no complaints at all about space. They do stand up to the job, depending on the drivers you've got, of course. We have had 1 or 2 mishaps, which have been dealt with quickly and efficiently. The drivers, because we let the drivers use them for some personal use, they all wanted cars to start with. They weren't happy, to be perfectly honest, about having vans on day one. They wanted saloons, but since they've been using the vans, they're all happy. Well, the Fiesta vans were getting 50, 56 miles per gallon, no problem at all. Yes, our accounts department are very happy with our transport costs at the moment.
Good morning, Power Dispatch. Oh, good morning, Colin.
John Masek and his partner set up their specialist upmarket courier company 6 months ago. They run bikes and 2 Escort 1.6 diesel vans.
Well, we decided that what our aim would be as a dispatch company, and that it would be an upmarket company, to claim a corner of the market that we felt was available to us. And this needed us to have vehicles that were very presentable, looked good, had facilities for signing and everything like this. And the Escort proved, of all the vehicles on the market, the Escort proved to be the vehicle that fitted this role. I think it's the care that's been put into the design of the vehicle. It's got the features of the Escort car, and is very careful in the design, has very carefully kept those lines rather than just adding a box on the back. So therefore you've got a vehicle that looks very, very nice to the eye and fits in beside a Rolls-Royce outside a big London hotel or in a back alley in North London. We chose the top of the range one with the cloth seats, with a fitted radio, obviously for long distance driving, and we chose it for its comfort, and especially for somebody my size. Now, we do drive long distances and for a long time and spend 14 hours in the vehicle, except for the odd breaks, and it's so designed that even a person with long legs like I have, and has plenty of room to stretch, there's no fatigue from driving it at all. It's superb. Some of the competitors that we've sat in are much more cramped, etc., but this vehicle, I can stretch my legs out, I can get at all the controls easily, I can relax while I'm driving, and it's a pleasure. It's not there to look just nice, it's there to do a job, it's there to earn us money, and it's there to be durable and carry loads. In fact, it pulls and drives with a full load of half a tonne on just as well and just as easily as it does empty. We've costed the running of the vehicle right round from insurance and right the way down to the actual running costs, including servicing. And we have found that because of the fixed prices for servicing, because of the very good levels price of servicing and the time it takes to do them, plus the fuel economy of the diesel engine, we find it very, very, very good as far as cost effectiveness go in running costs. And the running costs are kept to a minimum, which of course boosts our profit margin a lot.
Mike Cross's kitchen and bathroom installation business has been growing in the Banbury area for 17 years. Currently, he runs 3 escort vans and a standard transit.
Well, we've had a business now for some considerable years, and we've looked at different options open to us. And we thought basically that the Ford Transit vehicle for deliveries met our demand, and the Ford Escort vehicles that we have also from our fitters' point of view. Now, the Ford Transit vehicle we've now had for about 2 years, and we found it to be exceptionally good for the amount of materials that we need to put into the vehicle. It's exceptionally good with fuel costs. Maintenance is exceptionally good. So at the end of the day, really, we've got a product which we feel is tailor-made to the needs of our business. Well, the vehicle has a capacity to more or less take the whole of the kitchen units which are stored at our premises here in Banbury, and most of our work is within a 25 to 35 mile radius of our town, and it has the capacity to carry all of those units. As kitchens are getting a little larger and our business is growing, we are looking maybe for the other type of transit, which has a higher roof and a little bit longer wheelbase, which will then enable us to meet the needs of our expansion. So the vehicle itself carries the materials from our premises here to the sites or to the private houses wherever we're going, and also we use the vehicle, I use it personally for taking myself to site surveys and to building sites to organise the business in the first place. Not only does it help a little advertising, but it also is a very comfortable vehicle to drive, so we're very happy with it. Well, we've got ourselves a very nice contract which we secured a few months ago, which is a stately home just about 20 miles from here. So the vehicles that we have, the Ford Transit and the fitters Ford Escorts, are ideal vehicles for travelling from Banbury to the site. It is a large development that we are converting, and we have 60 units to do, which is 60 kitchens, together with a lot of glazed tiling to floors and walls in both kitchens and bathrooms. So the vehicles become a tremendous asset to us, reliable, and they enable us to get over to the site on time and do our job. The Ford Transit vehicle, which is diesel, is doing at the moment in excess of 50 miles per gallon. In other words, we often find when we're driving around in the vehicle that we look at the fuel gauge, and it seems to stay on 3/4 to half for an awful long time, and it's only when it gets below quarter, which takes about a week, before we realise we have to refill it, so it's exceptionally good.
John Lehman is the genuine owner-driver. He lives in Grimsby, and his transits have been delivering goods all over the UK for more than 12 years now.
1984, I bought this vehicle from a local dealer with a brand new engine fitted in it at 58,000 miles. Since then, 3 years on, and it's 181,000 miles. No delay in delivering the stuff, no faults, you know, other than normal repairs. But certainly, loads like we have on today has got to be there. The customer's waiting at the other end. The customer has to rely on me to get his important goods there. That's the whole idea of the job, and I can rely on this vehicle to do that job. The run we're doing today, an urgent load down to Bristol, because somebody in Bristol is waiting for that part. If I don't get it there on time, there's going to be big trouble. I can rely on this vehicle to do the job, do it properly. That's what I get paid for. My local dealers have excellent coverage with parts for this model, well, our whole Transit range. I don't know of any other friends of mine running Transits who've had any sort of parts problem they can specifically nail down to not having the parts to repair their vehicles when they need it. The best available, right through the country. Even going abroad, you're not in trouble at all. The parts are reasonably priced, easy to fit, easy to service.
I would say if anybody's looking for a fleet of vehicles, your best bet at this present day is to go and speak to your local Ford dealer.
They are very easy to maintain. They're a pleasure to drive. They are, as a business proposition, absolutely superb, both in running costs, servicing, maintenance, and I would never ever change to any other model or even or manufacturer vehicle. It meets my demands absolutely perfectly.
As far as I feel that the Ford Transit means to me and my company, success.